All right. Adam Kramer, welcome to the show, my friend.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and nice to meet you for the first time.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. You were at a CrossFit competition with a friend of mine from my box. Came back, and he was like, I met this guy. He's got this cool story. You should think about having him on the podcast. And I was like, hell yeah, man. Reached out to you, and bing, bang, boom, got you on here, man. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes.
Yeah.
We were randomly, we meaning Green Beret Project, were at this CrossFit comp just selling T-shirts and getting to know people, and I just met some random guy. And we just kicked up a conversation for 5 minutes, and now we're here.
It's awesome, man. So jump ahead a little bit. You're with the Green Beret Project here in Delaware. President?
We call it the executive director.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you've been with them for how long?
It's 2016.
Okay, wow, yeah, long time.
Yeah.
But what got you there is an interesting story. And it's a story of that started off down our own path. You got it corrected, and now you're where you are because of it, I feel like.
Yeah, through lived experience.
Yeah.
And through a crazy set of what I think is miraculous events.
Yeah.
Since 2007. Has definitely led me right to where I'm at today. Plan, purpose, kind of things happening along the way. You have no idea why they're happening. And then later on in life, I feel like God has been revealing how he was prepping me during certain seasons of my life for what I'm doing now.
Yeah. So let me see if I got this right. 6 years in prison?
Well, I was sentenced to 8, 6 years in the federal prison and a 2-year on the back end Pennsylvania State Prison, and I ended up doing about 6.5 years off the 8 years total.
Yeah.
Which I was very fortunate to only do that amount of time.
Well, dude, let's jump into it. Let's start in the beginning, man. Take me back to the early days.
Early days, I grew up right here in Wilmington, Delaware, Newark, Delaware. Yeah. Lived a little bit in Hokesson. Mom and dad were pretty young, 20, 22 years old when I was born. Delaware natives. I'll take it back even a step further. Pop-Up John Sullivan, state trooper.
Yeah.
He's from
Delaware?
Yeah, he was from Boston, Army, Delaware state trooper. Other Pop-Up was he's Chicago, L.A. He was a Russian Jew immigrant, and he went to Caltech on a full ride. Very poor family, drafted by the Army, settled in Aberdeen, Maryland. Met a girl who was my grandmother, and he went on after the Army to Purdue, where he got a PhD in chemical engineering. Landed in Seaford, Delaware. Did the whole DuPont thing, Richmond, Kinston, back to the experimental station in Wilmington. And he was on team for helping produce Kevlar, nylon, Dacron. And my mom and dad were pretty young when they had me, and my mother worked at MBNA Bank in 1983.
Okay.
She was no college degree. I don't know, people from Delaware know the history of MBNA. Charles Cawley started his bank, and my mother was one of the first people working with Charles Cawley in the early 80s. She made a lot of money very fast with no college degree. And my father, oh man, where'd he go? I think he went to Monmouth College.
Okay.
And then I was born. He went to Del Tech, just got a little electrical certificate. And he ended up having a very fruitful career, high voltage cable testing. Ended his career with, he's the head electrical systems engineer at Delaware City Refinery. And, they got divorced when I was very young. And I got very mad, got very angry, very disobedient. My mother had terminal breast cancer at the time. She, I can say this, no one else can. My mother was crazy. Yeah. And she pulled me into the doctor's office, and she said, I know the doctor said I'm dying from breast cancer, and I'm just telling you, I'm not ready to die, and I'm not dying. And she, in fact, did not die for 30 years. She
had that mindset.
Yeah, she beat the breast cancer. I remember she would work relentlessly at MBNA Bank with a turban, and she just didn't, you know, she would go through chemo, didn't like how the wig feels. She would still go to work. She would, you know, but watching her do that over the years.
How old were you at this time?
So that was through the years of high school.
Oh, okay.
My mother and father put me at a private Catholic school,
Yeah.
and I got in a ton of trouble every single year,
Yeah.
which I feel like is just the men in my family, my
Yeah.
mom's brothers, my cousins on my mom's side. You know, my dad and his brothers it's like a bunch of fun-loving, outgoing guys.
Yeah.
They're just some ornery, joking, and sometimes I could take that to the next level,
Yeah.
a little extreme, and I got suspended a lot. But the trouble, you know, got worse as my dad left because there was no one at home to really discipline me.
Yeah, and hold you accountable for everything, right?
Yeah, the way I needed to be
Yeah.
disciplined. And, you know, my mother did her best during those years, but again, she was working, her and my father, you know, disagreeing. And, you know, I was watching my little sister during that time, and I got expelled from local Catholic school, and other high schools, from what I know, had approached my dad and said, hey, you know, we'll give the kid an academic scholarship.
Yeah.
You know, but that's like,
So you got good grades.
yeah, I got good grades, but the
Yeah.
academic scholarship was really like, hey, wink, wink, we need him to play baseball.
Yeah, yeah.
It'd be nice if he wrestled and played football as well, but we really need him for baseball. And my dad's like, look, man, I'm not living with you guys, with him, and he's going to Newark High School. And when I got to Newark, it was like freedom, because I'd never been to a public school.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like anything goes.
Yeah.
I met a bunch of other kids, you know, that were like derelicts, and some played sports and some didn't. And sports, little by little, was going to the wayside. And that was always, like, I got decent grades, but my meal ticket was like playing baseball.
Yeah.
And I just knew at a very young age, still don't know how I knew this, but I wrestled and played football, not because I necessarily liked them, but my dad was like, you need to pick a sport during each season. I don't care what sport it is. Pick a sport, play a sport. So I picked wrestling and football because it made me a better catcher. And I loved, like, it was my first passion, was just playing baseball. And I even had, you know, like University of Delaware recruiters coming at me my freshman year. And I just couldn't hold it together. I was started, you know, smoking weed, drinking, you know, sniffing cocaine, doing psychedelic drugs on the weekend. And, you know, 15 years old, you don't have money for that stuff.
Yeah.
And
What was it? Was it just like the partying? You like you just had to go out and have fun and do stuff?
you know, it's like you just meet a set of guys. I'm
Yeah.
already like this derelict
right.
kind of leader guy.
Yeah.
You know, like the nuns would call home and be like, your kid is causing trouble, and he's got like 5 other boys causing trouble with him, but he's leading the crew.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't necessarily like, oh, I met a bunch of guys and started following them. It was like we were a bunch of like leaders.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, man. It was like we were a bunch of leaders, and we just need to figure out a way how to party for free.
Yeah.
And, sorry. All right, should be good. So, you know, I figured out how to just buy an ounce of weed for $100 from some grass cutting money I had and flip it in a day. I mean, to be quite frank, that's how it started. You know, I bought an ounce of weed for $100. I bagged it up, went to school, sold an ounce of weed, and now I had free weed to smoke and some pocket cash, and I just kept flipping that every day.
Yeah, easy money.
Easy money. So make $500. You know, had money for the weekend, had free drugs, free partying, and you know, it seemed innocent at the time. You know, it wasn't like we grew up and be like, oh, we want to be gangsters one day.
Yeah, right. You're just looking at like, it's weed, it's easy money.
Yeah, we just got good at it. And then, you know, but with that comes, hey, now I got to start missing practice because there's some sales.
Yeah.
After school is like the most dangerous time in America.
Yeah.
You know, parents are at work, kids are at practice, and the other kids are out doing who knows what. Mm-hmm. And so that just led one thing to another. I got arrested my freshman year of high school for selling weed.
Did you get caught at school?
I got caught at a friend's house. You know,
Okay.
we were downstairs smoking weed, making sales, and the guy's sister called the dad called the police. Next thing I know, Newark Police Department's there arresting all of us.
Yeah.
And that should have been my first inclination. Like, somebody told on me
Yeah.
and said it was Adam's weed. And I took the hit. I got in trouble. My mother, whose two brothers were law enforcement, one was a state trooper, one was a county police officer at the time. She just kind of called in some favors,
Yeah.
you know, and I got off pretty easy. And maybe I shouldn't have got off easy.
Yeah.
You know, I got off easy. Community service, had to write some letters, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then I continued down that path. Started meeting other people who are selling bigger amounts of drugs or hanging out with older guys who graduate high school, guys who are in like these unnamed type of gangs. And man, we were selling lots of drugs. And then
Just weed at this
well,
point?
it became into like on the weekend, maybe you get a sheet of acid or
Yeah.
a couple, you know,
So I started picking up other things along the way.
half pound of shrooms,
Yeah.
maybe a half ounce of coke. You know, it was just like a moneymaker thing.
Yeah. Were you using everything or just weed?
Yeah,
You were getting into everything with it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Loved back in the day, you know, we're just partying, having a good time. A lot of the kids didn't have curfews, and
Yeah.
I'm living with my mom, not wanting to go see my dad. And sports kind of just took a back seat.
Yeah. Did you quit it altogether, sports?
See, so my freshman year, baseball came and went, which was
Yeah.
the worst thing I could have did. And you know, like a baseball player, you just lose precision every year you miss.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not like one of those sports where I can just pick it up and
No,
start
it's
playing
perishable
again.
skill.
It's
Yeah.
not wrestling. It's not football where I can just step back on the field and kind of comes back.
Yeah.
My hand-eye coordination, the drug use, like baseball fell fast.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling regret, shame. I'm feeling guilty. I have this cough that I have from this international flight. I can't shake it.
It's all right, man.
Yeah, so I was feeling guilty, shame, and you know, I'm already angry and acting disobedient. So like the drugs were helping mask my reality.
Yeah.
Because my reality was I always knew that I knew I could play high level baseball. And that's, you know, like 13 years old, I was a start catcher on a 15-year-old all-star team.
Yeah.
And even the University of Delaware would be like, hey, man, we're really looking forward to your freshman season. I knew that that's just one school looking
Yeah.
that's nearby because there's friends of friends that
Yeah,
have
right.
you know, coaches at UD that know about me. So I knew there was other things coming, you know.
Yeah.
Like Old Dominion was looking. There was a friend down at some southern colleges, and you know, it all went to my head. And
Yeah.
but now that I'm like, man, I got kicked off the team my freshman year. This is bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. Sophomore year came around, got arrested again. So now football, I didn't even play football my sophomore year. I didn't wrestle my sophomore year. I didn't play any sport for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
And I was 16 years old, and it felt bad. Junior year, I played football. I wasn't like this. I mean, Newark was a pretty dynasty, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We were huge back then, so I wasn't like an all-state football player, but I had a position
Yeah.
where I could jump in it outside. We ran a 4-4. I could jump in it outside linebacker, kick off. They would never give me the ball, but I would be like a lead blocker for some
Yeah.
of these guys. I mean, there was just some amazing athletes on Newark football. And so, but I could get in where I fit in,
Right.
you know, and the coaches were like, look, man, you missed your sophomore year. Like, you weren't that good that you
Yeah.
think you can just come back up in here
Yeah.
and jump on varsity your junior year. You're taking a back seat on JV. So I took a back seat on JV, ran some halfback. You know, I was a
Yeah.
junior. You know, I'm like, man, I'm a junior. I'm playing JV. I know I could have been on varsity. You know, it was a little, I just kind of sucked it up and did it.
Yeah.
And senior year came around. They were like, look, you and another guy are going to be switching off starting at outside linebacker because the other three guys were just animals. And
Yeah.
I wasn't that, you know, I was 165 pounds.
Yeah.
And I moved to Dewey, or I ran away to Dewey Beach.
Yeah.
the summer between junior and senior year, and I was just selling a ton of drugs and had every intention of going to preseason, and I just didn't go.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to college to play football.
Yeah.
I would rather, so I stayed down here 2 weeks into school until I finally went back to school.
Yeah. What were your parents saying?
My mom was just, she didn't know where I was
were just
at
out of
half
it.
the time.
Yeah.
I'd come back home. Dad was kind of looking for me at points, and like I'd stay in contact by phone.
Yeah.
I was out of control.
Yeah.
At that point. And somehow I managed to get on honor roll my
Wow.
senior year of high school.
Yeah.
But that was just kind of keep everyone off my back.
Yeah.
I tried to redeem myself a little bit with sports. I played lacrosse my senior year. Never picked up a lacrosse stick till the week before lacrosse practice. And that was pretty fun. But graduated first day out of high school. My dad was an electrician, so he got me into the pre-apprentice program at Local 313, electrician, and it was me and another kid I grew up with, and he was a troublemaker, but his dad owned an electrical company. I won't name any names, but him and I got in so much trouble at work. I would get yelled at work. So when that summer was over, I'm like, man, I'm just not ready to work.
Yeah.
To be an like I know dudes that are still electricians from 1999, and they are killing life, man. And still in the Local 313.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I'm just like, I'm not ready for that.
Yeah. You're thinking, I got plenty of time for all that.
I'm dealing drugs, I'm making pretty decent money. Yeah. So I went to Wilmington College. It's, which is now a university, but at the time it was a college. And I just went there and I just literally scrolled down the list like, oh, major in that.
Yeah.
And it was construction management. One semester, Wilmington College pulls me and this other guy, and they said, you are the only two that are in this major, and we're dropping it. I'm like, man, that's a pretty decent major,
Wow, yeah.
Construction management, thinking I could be a project manager, I'll grow up.
Yeah, right.
Like I literally would tell myself, like, I'll grow up when college is over, be like a project manager. I fit right into a job site. And I picked sports management next, which was like whatever,
Yeah.
Should have picked aviation management. I might have got more trouble that way. But yeah, so I ended up, dealing drugs all through college.
Same stuff?
Same stuff. Yeah. More cocaine now,
Yeah.
More cocaine during college, in the bar scene. Could get in, I had the good drugs, so I could get in bars even at the age of 18, 19, 20, running with some guys I knew from high school. So we all knew like each other's backgrounds. And when I was 20 years old, one of my friends got arrested and the DEA tried to shake him down. And he told us. And I got spooked and scared. And I'm like, yeah, these guys do look different in the bar. There's some older guys hanging out in this younger bar that we don't recognize. And I think those dudes are undercover. Yeah. And so I stopped dealing drugs for like a year, and I was just kind of doing jobs for other drug dealers, like, go collect money here, keep a percentage. I'll do a transportation job and get paid for that just to kind of float by, because this was the trade now that I knew.
Yeah.
I was a bricklayer. Sometimes during the summer, we were furniture movers, but we always had a crew of guys. We knew how to deal drugs. And if one guy was down and out because he was hot, then we knew how to take care of that guy and kind of help him along the way. And then when I graduated college, I had this 4-year girlfriend, and she was like, you are out of control.
Yeah.
I cannot handle this anymore. I love you, but you are out of control.
She was just kind of hoping you were going to clean it up and get it together.
Well, she kind of knew. Like, she was just kind of knowing about the heavy partying, and not the heavy drug dealing.
Oh, okay. You kept that from her?
As best I could.
Yeah.
And she would be like, but you would leave for 2, 3, 4 days. I don't know where you were at.
Yeah.
And, it's worrisome. My parents worry about you. Like, what is going on, And I couldn't stop drinking. I got out, I graduated college.
Were you at the point with the drugs where were you traveling like across states, or were you just local?
A little bit,
yeah,
like regionally.
Yeah, okay.
Some things into Maryland, Jersey, Pennsylvania. I mean, we live in Wilmington, it's 15 minutes any direction. You know, I could make pretty decent money at that time, maybe, 60, 70, 80 grand, something a year. I get out of college. I'm like, all right, my girl left. I'm in love with her, and it was devastating. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to get a job. So I went and I got a job with the Blue Rocks. But
Okay.
they were paying me like it was the most boring job ever. Because I'm watching these guys that were younger than me and my age play baseball in a single A team. And I'm like, dude, I'm better than that.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah.
And I'm just back in the office paper pushing, and I'm not a paper like I would be better on the bricklaying job site.
Yeah, you want to be out and about. Yeah.
I like to work. I like being on the bricklaying site. I like being at the electrical job sites with the guys, doing hard things, figuring stuff out, problem solving, critical thinking. Like that's me.
Yeah, not sitting in a cubicle.
Sitting behind the office. I have other family members. I have a cousin who was in the Air Force for years and years, and I had another cousin who was a police officer. My other cousins were younger than me at the time, but they were like men of service, right? And men that work.
Yeah.
Not saying you can't work behind the desk, but it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I was a sports player. That career, complete. I felt like I was a failure because of that. And so I graduated college, got this job, lasted for like 2 weeks, got another job at the YMCA. That lasted like a week. And I just called one of my friends. I'm like, look, dude, I'm back.
Yeah.
I'm back. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I'm going to come meet you. And he was a close friend of mine from high school. I dealt drugs with him off and on through the years. And I'm like, just put me back on, man. I'm safe. You know who I am. And little by little, he was already had built this large thing over here.
Yeah. Is it just cocaine at this point you're getting to?
Actually, it was like a lot of weed.
Okay.
We had some coke, but that was more for like bartering
Gotcha.
with business owners and other people we're not going to talk about. But there was a lot of weed involved. And I'm like, it felt safer, because in the weed industry, if you will, there's just safer people than moving bricks and bricks of cocaine.
Yeah.
It's just a lot
Different
safer.
clientele, yeah.
So I'm like, man, this is safer. I feel safer. I don't feel like there's going to be as much jail time, which will enable a guy like me to take more risk. I can continue to party, hang out, but it's bigger and better. Like, going to these clubs, New York, Philly, AC, Miami, Baltimore, we're like making connections. And man, it got out of control fast. Like, I'm like pinching myself. Like, how is this? This is happening.
Yeah.
There's $1 million made, and with the other man, the other guy.
Were you transporting down to Florida and all those?
So there was, as time went, we're meeting more people, more connections. We're getting in thousands of pounds of marijuana.
So were you transporting that much at like one time? Like, what'd you do? Were you renting trucks?
So there'd be like. It was transported to us.
Yeah.
It could be 151 pounds. It could be 385 pounds. Like, we never knew.
Yeah.
They just, the guy would show up.
Yeah.
We would count it, make sure we'd count it, recount it. Everyone's on board, because 1 pound could be $2,000, $2,500. So no one wants to miscount here because a lot of money being transferred. And it was a lot of work. People are like, oh, drug dealers are lazy. I'm like, man, we were not lazy by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
We put in work, and there was trucks, boats, like boats on trailers, airplanes going up and down. We mainly were just East Coast guys. Quickly figured out that if you take weed down to Baltimore, to North Carolina, South Carolina, you could jack the price up as you go south. But anything south of that, the price goes back down.
So you were using like little planes, like little private planes and stuff.
There was a plane involved.
Yeah.
There was a boat that would put on a trailer, stuff it. That was involved. But it was a lot of work, and we had some pretty smart guys involved. And it just grew completely out of control.
Yeah.
It was just out of control. The partying, the danger. Different criminal outfits that you were involved with from, North Jersey and the city and up in Montreal, outfits down in Baltimore, and then these like Quasimodo gangs that you were involved with. You just never knew what you could be rolling up to, and it was, everyone had their vices, different drugs. Some guys were like steroids, and other guys, me, I was just sniffing coke, drinking, and it was, and I felt like I was doing that. For one, I hated what I'd become, but it was my reality at this point because I did choose this path. I knew right from wrong. No one in my family has ever been arrested before.
Yeah. How much money were you making at this point? I like the height of it. What was your like?
Well, in the newspaper, it said $10 million a year.
Yeah. But
So,
you're like, I didn't see $10 million.
Well, I mean, we'll just call it $10 million a year. I mean, that's what the Fed said. I remember at one point, this is a funny story. I had been arrested. I went to see the federal magistrate, and the magistrate faces the courtroom, and then the audience is only, it's like a private audience. So my mom and dad were there, which they did not speak to each other. The only reason they would ever speak to each other is when I had to go to court. So they were facing the magistrate, and me as the defendant was facing like the sidewall. And the magistrate was like, so far during this investigation, we've calculated that Mr. Kramer's making around $5 million a year. And I opened one eye and peeked at my dad, and he was just staring at me. And his face was like bright red, and I felt like his head was going. I was in fear. I'm like, man, this guy's gonna jump he's gonna jump the wall and just like
take you out.
I was like, because my dad's always been get up, go to work, hardworking man, set a good example as far as that. He had he worked for the same employer from 1982 to 2016.
Yeah.
And then he worked for the refinery, and he had very
old school blue collar. Old school blue collar.
And he was smart too. Electrical engineer, last man at the job at Financial Park. Like, all right, this electric's good, this is not, this is good.
Yeah.
And so doing very big high voltage cable testing, which involves tons and tons of math. And so he was pretty hot, and I was fearful at that moment. I was like happy to go back to the jail cell.
Yeah.
So it's hard to put an exact number on it, but we were making 8 figures a year.
Yeah.
At like two guys, and I kind of assumed the role. My buddy.
Were you just like stashing cash places?
Yeah, there's cat. I mean, it was stashed all over the place.
Yeah.
He was like deemed kingpin, like in a chart that the feds did. He was kingpin, and I was like direct line under him. As they gave me the manager role. Then I had all these drug dealers I managed. Did our best to manage money coming in, money going out, and like contracting drivers out to deliver the stuff, contracting, rotating stash houses. Like we thought we knew what we were doing, but we had no idea that in the federal government, it just takes 2 people to say, Adam did it, and that starts a conspiracy case.
Yeah.
No wiretap, no drug evidence, no money, no nothing. Just 2 people saying Adam and the other guy.
Yeah.
They were the 2 dogs that were bringing in the weed and selling it to us.
Yeah. Conspirators.
And then it started going. They were catching. They went old school with us, meaning. This is just stuff I gather from being in prison, and I could be completely wrong. But I knew at one point in time they were getting the kingpins first, and then the kingpin would ride out the whole organization.
Yeah.
And with us, they went bottom up. They went and got some low-level guys and kept working up the food chain.
Yeah, just doing buys and stuff off of you.
So they got some low-level guys, and we just thought we had everything figured out. We knew these guys were getting arrested, and we still were like, whatever. They're going to, we've made deals with them, to keep their mouth shut, and we'll pay their bills and commissary and lawyer fees. But, that's like we were in our mid-20s.
Yeah.
High as a kite all the time.
And you're thinking money's just going to buy the problem away.
Yeah. Because in the state, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can. It's Delaware. We knew that. I've bought my way out of trouble before.
Yeah.
But we didn't get arrested at this point, by the state. It got real serious when I saw the indictment that said the United States of America versus Adam Kramer.
Well, when was that point? So
September 28th, 2007.
Is when you were busted.
27 years old.
So take me to that day.
So I knew I was going to jail that day for another case.
Okay.
On September 25th, I knew the kingpin had been arrested. I knew.
Was he in Delaware?
Not when they arrested him.
Okay, but that's where he was from, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
The feds had called my mother, which is insane, and said to her, "Tell Adam, take a seat, because we're tired of looking for him." And my mom told me, and I'm like, all right, well, this is what's happening. She knew something was going on, but I'd laid it out. I'm like, this is what's happening. I'd been on the run since May of 2007. I was staying in. There was one guy I knew who was
from the drug charges.
Yeah, like I knew that the feds were coming to get us. I was at Point to Point. Are you familiar with Point to Point?
Yeah.
So I'm at Point to Point, partying it up, drunk, fall off the back of a pickup. This big dude with long hair and big beard comes up to me. He's like, "What's up, boy?" And I jumped up off the grass. I'm like, "Who are you talking to?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Don't worry, Kramer. You'll know who I am soon enough." And I'm like, well, that's pretty bold of him to say.
Yeah, right.
And my other buddy, who usually, like, he's a brawler, he would have been right by my side. He's hiding behind a truck. I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing back there?" Like, that guy just threatened me. And he's like, "Don't you know that's Agent so-and-so?"
Oh, you recognized him?
My buddy recognized him.
Okay.
Because he had kicked in his door before.
Okay. For drugs?
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, man. So I called my partner, and I'm like, "Hey, man, this and this just happened." He's like, "Yeah, they kicked in so-and-so's door at the stash house last night and recovered over 100 pounds of weed, all this cash, ledger." And
that was your stuff.
I'm like, "We're going down." So I stopped talking to him, to the guy, my partner or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to have one last crazy summer. And then I went and collected some cash I knew was safe, which was around 120 grand in cash, and kept it in my trunk. And I was living up and down the East Coast. I went back to one of our apartments in Philly. The doors were kicked in.
When you got there, they were
already kicked in.
Yeah.
I went in there. This is kind of a funny story, too. We had this, like, I don't know, like this 30-gallon vase. Like, it was huge.
Yeah.
Full of coins. And I put it in a shopping cart. And in the middle of Philly, I took the shopping cart, stole the shopping cart, took it up to the apartment, put this big thing of coins in there, rolled it down to the bank with the old Coinstar, and spent about 3 hours dumping all the coins in there to get all the
big
cash.
coin machine?
Yeah, because I just need all the cash I could get. I'm like, we're never gonna see these coins again.
Was the bank like, what the fuck?
Everybody was just staring at me. I'm like, yeah, we've been collecting coins for a long time.
Since I was a kid.
I mean, it was like 4 or 5 G's in there.
Oh, man.
And so I just went on the run. I was partying like crazy. I'm just thankful I'm alive after that summer. I got arrested in Dewey that summer.
Yeah.
I got arrested for fighting in Dewey, DUI warrant. They put me in Sussex.
What year was this?
I bailed out, 2007.
Okay.
I bailed out. I'm like, man, I thought the feds would like come get me. I bailed out, whatever, went along my way. I went to Jamaica. I'm like, they're really going to come get me. I'm just tired of running at this point.
Yeah.
Went to Jamaica, came back. Customs came on the plane, and I was on seat 21C. I'll never forget. And they were looking at me right when they got on the plane, and I just kind of went, and they were like, "Are you Mr. Kramer?" I'm like, "Yep." And I just took a deep breath. I'm like, well, this is it.
What airport was this?
Philly.
That was Philly, okay.
And they were like, I said, "Where's everybody at?" And they were like, "Is there something you need to tell us?" I'm like, "No, man. You need to tell me why you're arresting me."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, well, you had a warrant out in Media, Pennsylvania for a DUI. We figured you weren't going to stay in Jamaica and run on a DUI warrant. So we just let you go have a good time." And I'm like, "Oh, interesting."
Mighty nice of them.
So they put me in George Hill.
Okay.
Correctional facility. I bailed out, back at it,
Yeah.
back on the run.
You bailed out that day?
2 days later.
2 days,
So I
okay,
spent
yeah.
a couple nights in there, back out. They gave me a court date September 25th for that DUI in Media. So I'm like, man, I knew everybody had been arrested, and now they're waiting for me. So I went to this DUI. I was watching the feds drive around my mother's neighborhood.
Just waiting.
I had gotten in a fight the week before, like a bar fight.
Yeah.
You know, out of control, grottos on Main Street, got in a bar fight. You know, there was like 4 of them. They got on me. The cops roll up. Those dudes run, and they come up to me. They're like, Mr. Kramer, where you been living at? And I was like, will you just tell Agent so-and-so if he wants to come get me himself? Like, I'm tired. I'm tired. And they were like, well, tell us where you're living. And I said, I've been living at the freaking hotel down the street. So I got in a squad car, and they took me to my mom's house, which was outside of the Newark police jurisdiction. Watching the feds drive around for like 3 or 4 days. I'm like, these dudes are nuts. Like, I was ready to go run around the neighborhood after their car. Because I was just, you know, at this time I was broken.
Yeah.
I was just tired.
I'm tired of waiting. Let's just get it over with.
And so I go to the court date.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, just go to county jail.
Back in Philly.
And the judge was like, we're giving you a 1 to 2 year sentence. I'm like, all right. You know, and they started taking me away. And I'm like,
DUI?
Yeah. And I'm like, hold on, you're taking me right now?
Yeah.
It was my 3rd DUI.
Okay.
And at that point, they had, you know, all DUIs through the country are one now. So I had DUI in Jersey, Delaware, 3rd one in PA.
Okay.
So now they're going to put me they give me a 1 to 2 year sentence. And I said, Judge, I said, all due respect, I had no idea I was going to prison today. And I have a business to run in Delaware. I was lying through my teeth.
Yeah.
And he was like, take him off the cuffs. He was like, you have 72 hours to get your affairs in order, and you report to me, you know, September 28th, 6 p.m., don't be drunk or I'll make sure you do the full 2 years and you don't get paroled. Deal. And he let me go. And I partied for 3 days and was waiting for the feds to come. I walked out of my mother's pool deck. I walked back in. Stepdad was going to take me up there to the county jail. I walked back out, and there was like 20 agents out there. And they arrested me before I went back into the county jail. So the county jail took a back seat. And that's why I say I got sentenced to 8.
Yeah.
Because when I was done serving time in the feds, the county came and picked me up. The Pennsylvania.
For the DUI.
Yeah, and I had to do Pennsylvania state time.
Damn.
But again, I got off super easy. Thank God the feds really do an investigation on you, meaning they got my transcripts back to 1st grade. They were like, where did this kid go wrong? Yeah. It wasn't just like, another state case, another county case. Right. They were like, where did his, my PSI, where did Adam go wrong? So they took into consideration, okay, he has a college degree. He, has a certain amount of education. Comes from a good family. We see there's a divorce or there's cancer. He went off the wrong path, and he just never stopped. Mm-hmm. From, basically from 13, started selling drugs when I was 15, started using drugs and alcohol when I was like 12, 13 years old. Yeah. And I just never stopped till I was 27, until I was arrested. And I never would have stopped.
Yeah.
I just never would have stopped. Like, I needed prison. Prison was a good...
Is that how you felt when you got there? Were you kind of like relieved, or were you like,
I was super relieved.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was facing, though.
Right.
When they came
Where'd you go to prison first? Where was the first stop?
Well, they kept me in the Newark police station for 3 days and gave me a tarp, Dawn soap, and McDonald's for 3 days, driving me around the city, asking me where other drug dealers' houses were. And I'm like, dude, what? We were up here. You investigated us. We were up here. I don't know where all these low-level drug dealers' houses are. Yeah. They were like, last chance, we're taking you to the magistrate. I'm like, well, take me. So they took me to the magistrate, read me some stuff, and now it's getting real. I'm like, whoa, they're charging us with 22 to 6,600 pounds of weed. I'm like, there's a 4,400 pound gap there. And then they're trying to stick us with 15 to 50 keys of coke and money laundering.
What were the charges that you got?
Those were the 3 charges.
Those were the 3.
15 to 50 kilos of coke. And I'm like, that doesn't even make sense. There's 35 kilos in the middle. And this is where my partner and I thought we had everything figured out, but you don't, because if I sell 100 pounds of weed to a guy every month for 12 months, well, then they say, oh, well, that's 1,200 pounds of weed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, dang, nobody told us that.
Nobody explained that to me. Not fair.
So that's why they had this huge gap in which they used that to negotiate.
Yeah.
Right. So now they're negotiating. Well, who's your connect here? Who's your connect here? I'm like, dude, even if we knew who our main connects were out of this country, like, there's no no dice that you're getting at, because I have no, like, even though we were making 8 figures a year, guess what? Those dudes they had 20 different
Yeah.
dealers that were working for them. They were making, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of power leverage they have in different prison systems and different countries. So we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Because and first of all, you don't even know who they are because they're so smart. They contract all their work, and you never get to even meet the guys.
Yeah.
So then it became a negotiation of, where's your money? Hand over these houses, bank accounts, everything's getting seized, and you just start leveraging what you can with what kind of money you got. What kind of money stashed? They want to know, where is it stashed? This, that, the third. And you're just like, at first, you're just taking the ball, and you're like, nope, nothing. And they're like, dude, we can easily make this case into a CCE, continuing career enterprise, which is basically racketeering.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just automatic life in the feds. That's automatic life in the feds means you're doing it maximum security too. You don't get a chance going minimum.
Yeah.
Anything. And so I'm like, well, I'm still drunk and high from the past 12 years, so I'm just going back to my jail cell. And that's when things started. The clouds were clearing from my head. Now you're feeling, you got the fear setting in, huge amounts of shame, guilt, failure, letting the family down, family name's bad. All these things are just waves of emotion, lots of time to think. Sober, it took probably 2 months, I want to say. And that was the first time I was ever sober as an adult. And I was facing the worst external circumstances of my life.
Yeah. Where was your first stop in jail?
Salem County Correctional Facility.
Is that PA?
Salem County, New Jersey.
Jersey.
Salem County, New Jersey had a contract with the federal government to hold 150 federal pre-sentenced inmates.
Okay.
It was a pretty unique jail in the fact that there was only 3 blocks there, and they would keep federal inmates from Wilmington, some from Philly, South Jersey. Every once in a while, if a guy needed to be split up from his co-defendants, like New York City, North Jersey, and we were mixed in with county inmates.
Okay.
Which is wild because, we're facing tons of amounts of times.
Yeah.
There's dudes in there facing triple life.
Right. For all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, there was a guy in there in some Hispanic gang, and he was a sniper, and he was facing triple life next to a guy that's got, child support.
That's wild.
It was dangerous
Yeah.
for the county guys. So there's a lot of beef.
I was going to say, did you see any wild shit in there?
Oh, yeah. There was a lot of beef, not between races.
Yeah.
But between the color of your bracelet, meaning were you a green band or an orange band? And green bands were feds and orange bands were county. And there was a riot, and all these fed dudes got shipped off because you would see these, I was in that jail for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Waiting. And you had other guys there even longer, and they had seen these county guys come and go 3, 4, 5, 6 times.
Yeah.
In and out, in and out. And that takes a toll when you've been in there the whole time. You just watch these dudes come in and out. And, there was a local gang, local Bloods that would come in and out of the jail. And these fed dudes just weren't putting up with it. They were like, dude, there's some real gangsters up in there.
Yeah. What's some crazy shit you saw in there? Anything nuts? Fight-wise or anything?
I've seen dudes get their whole lips split open, cheek to their lip, just completely carved out. I watched 18-year-old dude hide in the shower. Everyone else was locked in for count time. And the CO was doing his count. The 18-year-old kid just trashed. He took the CO's walkie-talkie, threw it across the room, and just trashed, which is sad because everyone, meaning the other inmates, loved that CO.
Yeah. And
that kid knew if he did that, when there was an open block, other inmates would have jumped in and beat him for that.
So they did? They
No.
jumped the CO?
Well, the one kid jumped a CO.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the inmates would have stopped that inmate
Oh, gotcha.
from trashing the CO
Gotcha.
because all the other inmates, we loved that CO.
He was cool to you guys.
He was cool.
Yeah.
He didn't let rules fly, go by the
he just
wayside.
treated you
He
like
was
human beings.
right. He
Yeah.
was not
He treated you
an
right.
authoritarian type of
Yeah.
kind of guy. But more crazy stuff started happening when I got sentenced and I went to federal prison.
Yeah.
And you're in prison with guys who've already been down for 20, 30 years.
Where was that at?
Fort Dix.
Okay. Jersey.
Yeah, it was wild. There's 5,000 inmates there, split compounds, east-west, so 2,500 inmates on each pound, and you lived in a old Army barrack building with no air conditioner, 3 floors, 350 inmates in each building, 12 men to a room, 1 cop on the first floor.
12 to a room?
Yep, and there's just 1 lock.
So it was 12 bunks.
6 bunks, 12 men. And those rooms were designed for 4 soldiers. And they would shove 12 inmates in there. So you got to imagine, you're walking into a 3-story brick barrack building.
Yeah.
And, you got 350 inmates in there. Everyone has at least 2 pairs of shoes, your boots and your sneaks. So that's 700 dirty shoes, 350 dirty pairs of sheets. Everyone's dirty laundry. There's minimal bathrooms for all 350 men. So this stench alone, just walking in that building,
God, dude, I can only imagine.
Wild.
Terrible. Because you probably have guys that don't want to shower and shit too, probably.
Well, dudes get voluntold to shower.
Yeah.
Like, that's not going to fly. You shower, or your bunkies are going to make you shower. You clean your clothes, your people are going to make you clean your clothes. And sometimes it's not in the nicest way.
How is that with like 12 guys in one, and like certain guys don't get along?
It's interesting.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, it is. So typically what they do is they try to split up the black population and Hispanic population.
They try to keep them separate?
No, they split them in the room. So it'd be like
okay.
5 black dudes and 6 Hispanics, or...
They try to even out the odds.
And then there's 1 white guy.
There's
one white guy in the mix. And I was obviously, the 1 white guy thrown in the mix. And, but I've always...
Are you put in a spot where it's like, whose side you taking?
Nah, I mean, so when you walk into the prison, I walked into Fort Dix, you immediately report to your counselor, and the counselor's like, go find a job. You have 2 weeks to find a job. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I've heard about this, but they're like, the guy was like, look, man, I'll give you some advice. You don't want to work in the kitchen because you're a white guy. He's like, go to the trades. He said, up there on that corner of the compound, there's the HVAC, plumbing, the brick guys, the landscaper guys. And back when I said God prepares you for stuff, this is like, I became a landscaper because it was the only department open.
Yeah.
Which played a role in my life later on, we'll get to. So I was the weed whacker, like one of like 5 weed whacker guys.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
Did you get out? Did you get out?
I got
like work crews and stuff?
Yeah, well, just within the prison compound.
Okay, gotcha.
Which Fort Dix was a
Massive,
huge prison compound. So we got to work outside, which was great because for the first 2.5, 3 years when I was in the county jail, I did not get to go outside, period. I never went outside. I was there for actually like 36 months. I was never outside.
No shit.
So being that I'm like, now I got like a sense of worth now. I'm like, man, this is great.
Yeah.
Outside, and God was preparing me through that job. So I got the job as a landscaper. I get put on a unit. The first room I was in, I'm like, dude, I need to get out of this freaking room. Like, they would keep the lights on at like 2 a.m. I'd be ready to fight dudes. I'm like, turn the lights off, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are we, 5? They'd be cooking and playing cards and carrying on, and it was super hard.
Like all night.
So I met a guy. This is just like, I met a guy at church. He was like this rough, crazy dude from East Orange. He was robbing banks at gunpoint. Dude was nuts. But man, I don't know. Me and this dude got really tight in church, and he's like, why don't you move in my room? I'm like, dude, I need to move in your room because let's go talk to the counselor. So the counselor moved me to this guy's room.
Is that rare to get like stuff like that approved?
Well, kind of. Like, they just put you in a room. They're like, we don't care. You're like, make it happen.
Oh, okay.
Like, make it work.
Yeah.
Like, this is prison. And so the counselor's like, you know what? I'll move you up there. And I was in that room for my whole duration, the rest of the duration of Fort Dix, which was great.
Same amount of guys?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
12 dudes in a room. And But we had rules in that room, 11 p.m., not 10:59, not 11:01, 11 p.m. every day. Those lights went out.
Yeah.
Every day. Which was awesome. And got more in a routine. I met a guy who became like a mentor to me in the faith and the exercise community. He was from Korea, and he had been in prison for over 25 years.
Damn.
And I'm
what was he in for?
Meth.
Math. Okay.
Like this huge meth organization. I'm like, hey, dude, I wanna work in the exercise department. Like, I'm an athlete. He was like, it's not gonna happen. You've only been on this pound for like 4 months, and there's been guys waiting to get this job for 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, dude, I want this job. And he also was in the church, and I'm like, come on, Kim, every day. I'm like, his name is Young Kim, and I'm like, come on, Kim.
Yeah.
Put me in, He's this older guy, and he would just laugh at me. He looked like Bolo. He was just huge dude, short but huge, and he was like, all right, Quema, you're in. Like, you're gonna be, because the guy that he had hired had went to the hole for a cell phone, so he put me in charge of advanced circuit training.
Okay.
So every 3 months, I got 30 new inmates to coach. So now God took me from the landscaper. Now I'm a advanced circuit training coach, which also played into the future after I'm like, this is, and Kim was like, you need to stay next to me for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
Because dudes want to stab you.
Not because
you did anything, but because I gave you this job. And until they get just used to you having this job, they're gonna want to stab you, because they've been wanting this job, and I've been telling them no.
Is he one of your roommates too?
No,
he's
just
different.
some dude from church I met. And so now I'm this advanced circuit trainer. First 3 months, boom, I get 30 inmates, which is great, because now I'm meeting dudes on the compound. I became friends with the head Mexican on the compound. I became super tight with the head blood on the compound.
Are these all guys who are like...
They're all signing up to do this exercise class.
But like they're keeping their stuff together, trying to go on a good path?
No.
No, some of them are still like...
Yeah, some of them are like, I lead the Bloods on this compound.
Gotcha.
Another dude's like, if there's anything that happens with the like, he's the shot caller on the compound.
Okay.
But which is cool, when people saw me with those people,
yeah,
I'm good. Right? They're like, oh, he's friends with so-and-so.
Yeah.
I see him walking around so-and-so, so they know if they do something to me, they're going to have to answer to him. There's a lot of hierarchy.
So you're pretty much staying neutral on good grounds with everybody.
I mean, dudes knew, like, all right, new guy on the compound, even though there's 2,500 guys, like, you kind of you still know who's who.
Yeah.
All right, there's this guy, white guy from Delaware, double minority. He's a landscaper. He's not a sex offender, but he's going to church. So it's like, no, you stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. You're going to be a church guy, then hold that Bible and play your part.
Gotcha.
And then, it's like, I'm meeting guys like crazy. I'm playing handball with all these Italian dudes, and people are like, how are you playing handball with all these Italians? I'm like, I don't know. They freaking invited me. So I'm making like friends with the Italians. I'm playing handball with them. Just a quick, funny sidebar story. I remember there was this old time mob dude from Boston, and he was good at handball, and I'd be like, that ball hit the line, man. That was in. Or, and he'd be like, Kramer, did you read your Bible today? And I'd be like, are you serious right now? You're going to call me out? It was.
Yeah.
But I built so many relationships on the compound.
Yeah.
With a bunch of black dudes from different places, a bunch of Hispanic dudes, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, which all would fight amongst each other. Groups of Muslim guys I was friends with. Country dudes from like West Virginia. I had a good buddy from Hawaii, Colorado, and it all came through. I was cool with the Asian dudes, which was mixed. Usually they were just all grouped together because there wasn't that many of them. So like Chinese, Japanese, South, and there was one guy from North Korea there. I was cool with all these people. And not that I didn't kind of have to watch my P's and Q's on the compound.
Yeah.
Didn't give me no free card or anything, but I had a a pretty decent time when I was in prison, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sounds like you didn't have a lot of trouble. Like nobody really messed with you. They kind of equaled out for you.
Right. I mean, it's just like treating people out on the street, or
Yeah.
treating people at the CrossFit gym. You're going to get that reputation of being the argumentative guy. No one wants to be around. No one invites you to a party. Same type of deal. Like I wanted to play softball, but there was no white team in my unit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I'm better at softball than everyone on that team. And they were like, doesn't matter. And I'm like, well, I'm better than you. What's up? And give me a chance. And they gave me a chance. I was the only white guy on the team. I was playing third base, first inning, all dirt infield, never got raked. So it was just crazy potholes all through the infield. There was this shot hit down the third baseline. I dove, caught the ball, and I looked at the team in the dugout, and I was like, gave them this shake, and I went to throw the ball, and I threw it right over the fence. They were like, what the heck? I thought you said you were good. And I'm like, dude.
I didn't get a chance to warm up.
I never had thrown a softball in who knows how long.
Yeah, totally different.
It was all fun and games, though. It was cool.
Yeah. That's wild, man.
Yeah.
So how long were you at that prison?
See, I was there from 2010 to 2013.
And then you got moved again? Or that was the last stop?
No, I thought I was going home. I had been writing letters back to different courts. I knew I had 2 warrants out for my arrest, 2 separate DUIs, one in Wilmington, one up in Media.
Oh, that hadn't been taken care of.
Well, I never had served the time.
Right.
And they were never writing back. Delaware was like, look, we don't really care. Just come home, report.
So your time for the drugs have been served at this.
Right.
It's getting served now.
It was miraculous.
Yeah.
Like I went to court for the feds. Then my final plea was 18 to 22 years. And I said, sign me up. I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then the prosecutor was like, I'm asking for 15, even below the 18 to 22. But the judge, so there had been these guidelines put in place, which kind of takes away the judge's ability to be a judge.
Okay.
With these guidelines. And our judge, they called her Get Low Sue, because she was like, I'll do whatever, like if I see the guideline, I think differently.
Is this in Delaware?
Yeah. Okay. She's a federal judge in Delaware. So I did not hire a lawyer, which is the largest marijuana bust in the history of Delaware. I didn't hire a lawyer. I got a PD. I was going to get a lawyer, and
just use a public defender.
My lawyer, I was praying about it, and I'm like, man, I don't think I should get a lawyer. And the lawyer had called my dad, said, look, if I hire you, it's just going to be, I'm just going to be stealing your money. I can't do anything. It's a federal government. Tell him to roll over dead, plead guilty to stuff he didn't even do. He's got 15 people willing to testify against him. He'll get nailed to the wall. Tell him to hand over all the money, properties, and just plead guilty.
Just cooperate with it, yeah.
And that's it. And when I walked in the courtroom, I had some letters I had been going to all the Bible studies in the prison. At first, I was going to the Bible studies because I still thought I could manipulate these different pastors into writing me letters. But that backfired on me, because when I was going to this one Bible study, and this pastor dude would come in, he'd be like, man, I love you, and this and that. And I'd be like, F you, dude, you don't even freaking know me, all immature. And I'd stomp back up to my cell, and I tried to make that dude mad for 2 months. And finally, I'm like, dude, I go back to my cell every Monday after I meet you, and I think of ways to make you mad. And I can't do it. And you're breaking me down. And he's like, read John chapter 3. This old Baptist preacher dude. And I'm like, I'll read John chapter 3, and I'll show you that this ain't nothing. I'll read the whole New Testament. And I read, it was like out of sheer pride.
Yeah.
And I read the whole New Testament 3 days. And look, I don't know where your faith is at or anything, but something was happening inside of me when I would read it. Like I was calm. I had felt some crazy peace in the craziest set of circumstances. So that 2008, after I got arrested and I was reading the Bible, meeting with pastors, meeting with other guys in the jail, like there was this dude facing murder, and he's like, I'm praying for you. I said, I dare you to say that again. I'll put you up in that cell, and we're going to fight.
Yeah.
And then another dude who would have waxed the floor with me, he was like, I'm praying for you too, Kramer. And I knocked his Bible on the floor, and he just laughed.
What was it about it that you didn't want to hear?
I don't know.
You just didn't feel like worthy of it, you think?
I don't know. I was just like, what do you mean you're praying for me? You're facing
Yeah.
charges for gang murder, and you're facing 25 years for a meth case. The dude facing charges for the gang stuff, I'm still friends with him to this day. We laugh about this because I threatened him to a fight. It would have been
Is he still in?
no.
He's out now. Okay.
It would have been a pretty fair fight, and then I stole his banana, and we just laugh about that.
Yeah.
And the other guy would have waxed the floor with me,
Yeah.
and he said, "I'm praying for you." Knocked his Bible on the floor, and he just laughed. And he said, "Kramer, you can't stop me from praying for you back in my cell tonight." Which I grew up in this Catholic church, but they never taught me how to have a relationship with the Lord. They never taught me Bible verses. They just said you have to follow these rules.
Right.
And I was a rule breaker since first grade, kindergarten.
Yeah.
So that, when I went to Catholic school, I got in trouble with the nun because I said, what makes the Pope so important? He puts on his pants just like my daddy puts on his pants.
Yeah.
They're both equal. And I got in trouble for that. So anyway, fast forward back to this Baptist preacher man. I read the New Testament. I went back and I had been trying to manipulate him, a Pentecostal preacher, a Methodist preacher, and this Pentecost Methodist. I don't know. There's some other preacher man that was coming, Presbyterian guy. And I was trying to manipulate all of them to give me letters. And then it backfired. And now I'm like head over heels with the Bible. And I'm like, well, in 2008, I'm facing these super bad circumstances. I have no idea what time I'm getting, but this Bible's making me feel good, so I'm just going to run with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I ran with for years. So fast forward to getting sentenced, the chaplain dude who I knew had been in the Army, he was a police officer, he had wrote me and that gangbanger dude that said he was praying for me letters. But he wrote letters for lots of people, but I did not know this till after sentencing. He had a standardized letter. And he would just fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But he wrote a personal letter for me. He wrote a personal letter for that dude, Larry.
Mm.
So then that's the judge's way of knowing.
Because he sees a difference.
There's something different about these two guys.
Yeah.
Because we've known Chaplain Massey to write he gets asked for lots of letters.
Yeah.
And he'll always honor it. He's just like this gentle, austere, former police officer. He's a current farmer, and he was in the Army.
Yeah.
So he had this standardized letter.
Template that he just used all the time.
He would just fill in the blank.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that for me and Larry. So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
It helped a lot when my wild mom called the head special agent in charge. I would have loved to see this guy's face. My mother said, thank you for arresting my son. I haven't seen him smile this much since he was 5 years old. So that these little instances were like miraculous things that were helping along the way.
Yeah.
And then when the judge said I got 6 years, I was like, well, I already did 3. You only got to do 85% of your time.
Yeah.
So boom, I got sent up top and did a little bit of time in the federal prison. And so when I got fast forward and I thought I was going home, and they were like, Kramer, you got 2 counties fighting for you out in the parking lot. And I'm like, man, I'm not going home. So they took me to the county that was inside the federal prison was inside whatever county. And I went there for 10 days, got extradited, and they just reinstated my sentence. And I had to go to Pennsylvania State Prison.
How long were you there?
13 months.
13 months.
Yeah, it was pretty hard. It was a harder time.
So out of all the time you did, in general, what was the hardest thing about being locked away? For you?
It was in the beginning. It's the beginning.
Just the
not knowing.
Not knowing, yeah.
You're just not knowing. But once, it was only 3 or 4 months when, I was trying to swindle these pastors. Once I started reading and actually studying, and actually putting effort and time in to what the Bible actually meant, and because I had this notion of what I thought it meant, but it was completely different. I thought Christian men were just a bunch of weaklings. Mm-hmm. Like they're just weak dudes. These Christians in prison are just using it as like as a coping mechanism, and I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to stick to who I am. I'm this criminal guy.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, it's like, God broke my heart down. And he's like, look, I gave you all these gifts that you used in the past for bad. And you're still the same man, just like have to go through a time of brokenness and redemption and growth to use the same gifts for good. And I started learning that more and more and more. And like I said, being sober for the first time and learning this stuff, man, my prison time actually it was full of purpose. I was mentoring lots of guys. I was teaching guys about the Bible. I was teaching guys how to exercise, teaching guys how to eat properly. I could teach dudes and tutor them for their GEDs. So like there was a lot of sense of purpose when I was
Were
in
you
the
almost
prison.
glad that you were in there with this to have these experiences and to kind of change yourself?
Yeah, God used prison to change my life.
Yeah.
It was an amazing time. And
Did
it's
you feel
so
that while you were in there?
backwards after like the first couple of months, yes.
So pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Which gave me, because I knew I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
Like I need to keep, Adam's mind needs to stay occupied. It needs to stay busy, moving forward, setting goals, crushing goals. It's something.
Yeah.
And it was either going to be bad or good. Like I coach kids today that are growing up in a super bad environment, but man, there's dudes, some of them are sharp. And I'm like, look, he's either going to be a really, really good criminal, or he's going to be a really good athlete, or he's going to be a really good business owner or something.
Yeah.
like,
Whatever it is, he's going to be good at it.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the prison, I gained this sense of purpose fast. And it actually became a very productive time. I still wasn't knowing how much time I was doing the first 3 years.
Yeah.
It went from like life, which I never felt I was going to get life.
Yeah.
But they said it. And they were like, oh, we can probably come down to 40 years.
Yeah. But you knew you were probably looking at like decades in your mind. You're like, it's going to be
At least two. I
Yeah.
thought I would be doing at least 20 years. So the fact that I only got 6 and then even had to serve 13 months on the back end of that was not, I mean, I was 27 to 33, 34 years old. It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect timing in my life.
What year did you get out?
January 20th, 2014.
14.
Yeah.
So what was that day like when you finally got out and you were free? How did that come? How was that?
I always had to remember in my mind that my daily devotion had to be the same on my last day of prison and the first day out. Like that part of my discipline in my life could not veer. There was tons of snow on the ground. I had $65 to my name. My dad was like, you can live here for a while. I'll give you rent free, food free, but you're going to have to start paying for your food after a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I had a very close friend who's now my wife.
Okay.
But she's the girl from the beginning I was talking about.
The one that was like, you're getting too nuts.
Yeah. So we've been married for 11 and a half years now.
That's awesome, man. Congrats.
It's just, so she was living with her mother. She had gone through her own, story of, I don't mind telling a little bit of her story. She was in college. She was a bartender in Dewey, Wilmington. Money kind of ran out of college. She loved working in the restaurant. She was, high-end waitress, high-end bartender, and she grew up in a Christian school.
Mm-hmm.
She got kicked out of there due to some family stuff, nothing that her and her brothers and sisters did. So that's kind of how she viewed Christianity, but she had all this biblical knowledge. So when I started telling her in the beginning, hey, I'm reading the Bible, she was like, don't you dare use Jesus to get back with me.
I
was like, all right.
Yeah.
And she was like, I was to the point in my mind where I was just going to get married.
Yeah.
And whoever I married is going to have to accept the fact that I was really in love with a crazy man.
Did you just reach out to her when you got out?
No, I mean, right when I went in. So it was all over. It was over the news.
You were. But I mean, like in contact with her regularly. You were in contact with her regularly when you.
So in the beginning,
yeah,
I was calling her sister.
Okay.
And her sister was like, she's depressed. She hasn't been going to work. She's been drinking a little bit more. And I'm just super arrogant. And I'm like, well, that's because she's still in love with me. And her sister's like, I hate the fact that you're probably right. And you are the most arrogant POS I think I've ever met in your life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all that might be true, but you know that I'm right. And I said, look, just give her these letters. I'm going to send you letters, and I need you to give them to her.
Yeah.
So I'd send her letters. And then she started writing letters back, but she would use her sister's address.
Gotcha.
So at least I was in contact that way.
Yeah.
And then she agreed to get on a phone list. So I started talking to her a little bit, and that's when I'm like, hey, I had been telling her about the Bible. So we just kind of built this, because we had always been great friends. It wasn't like this crazy bad breakup. We had always stayed in contact, even through my crazy years. Like, there was always this loose tether there. Like, there was once a month, once every 6 months or something over those years. And we were just such great friends. And then, so we kind of built this relationship. She started to come visit me. She had a boyfriend. She had broke up with him. She had quit her bartending job. She moved in with her mom. She started going to church. She was building her own relationship, studying the Bible again. So then she was off on her own, like, faith journey.
Yeah.
And we never labeled so that was like for a lot of years. And that was almost like in my heart, all right, I'm like, God, if you would bring her back in my life, why would you sentence me to 30 years and disappoint her? And that's still kind of arrogant to think.
Right, yeah.
But that's what I kind of felt. And I'm like, well, let's not label this relationship, and we'll just talk about the Bible. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
So when I got out of jail, she was there. She picked me up. It was way up, I don't even know that town. It's like half hour south of Pittsburgh, Laura Highlands. And she drove us back to Delaware, living with my dad. Tons of snow on the ground. I took my dad's shovel, snowblower, one-piece suit, went to all the neighbors' house, and I'm like, let me shovel your driveway. And they were like, how much? And I'm like, just tell me, after I'm done, you can give me whatever you want.
Yeah.
According to how good I do. Some guys, I made a couple $100 that day.
Yeah.
Called a church. I'm like, hey, I need a job like yesterday. I'll clean the toilets, rub the walls down, do whatever. We don't do that kind of thing. I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like, I just got out of prison. I need a job now.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, well, we're going to have you talk to the facilities manager. So the facility managers ended up being my boss, but not only that, he was a great mentor to kind of, I'd just been this dude reading the Bible in prison, but I had no idea what that meant in the outside world, going to church, fitting into a church group or anything like that, totally foreign to me. So he kind of coached me up, mentored me up. And I worked for the church for $8 an hour. That was in 2014. It was wild.
Yeah.
And in April of 2014, I went back to court for the DUI in Wilmington.
Okay.
And they were like, we're giving you 60 days in the county. And I'm like, are you freaking serious? Like, I just did 6.5. And I've been out for 4 months with doing good.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, we don't care. You're doing 60 days. And my lawyer's like, shh, I'm like ready to freak out.
You're ready to lose it, yeah.
And she's like, look, dude, that was your 5th DUI. I know there's been some time lapse, but this you just need to shut up. Like, you got 60 days. You need to be happy. I'm like, you're right. So boom, reported to the jail the next day.
Where'd you go, Gander Hill or something?
Gander Hill.
Yeah.
Ended up doing 7 days. Then they put me on house arrest. They didn't even give me an ankle bracelet. So at this point, I had 3 probation officers. Fed PO.
Oh, man.
I had a Delaware. Like, my case was transferred from PA to Delaware. So I had that probation officer and then another Delaware probation officer, which I'm like, why can't you just consolidate this
Just
two?
roll it into one. Yeah.
So this is where things were getting interesting because it looked really bad, but God was using it for good in the way that I was able to speak out and articulate this message at some pretty prominent events around the state. Not bashing probation,
Right.
but I said at a recidivism, this helped me change the course. So this is 2016. I was working construction, making ends meet. I was coaching CrossFit at this time, which is a whole nother story, which, like, I was a coach in prison and now I'm coaching out here. So it's like God was prepping me in prison to coach all these wild men who were just a bunch of grown babies.
Yeah.
Now I'm coaching the public, and my buddy, I don't know, my buddy Joe Diascanis had let me coach at his gym, API CrossFit. And so I'm coaching CrossFit, work construction, and I got 3 probation officers. And it was nuts. I'm like, I'm literally going to go. I called my Fed PO one day. I said, look, I'm going to go back to jail because my construction bosses know I'm on probation. They're cool with it, but I can't keep leaving the job site and going to these probation
3 different probation meetings.
from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. But Fed PO, the feds didn't make me go to meetings. They'd be like, where are you working at today? And I'd be like, I'm on the roof at this Season's Pizza on 141.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're just going to drive by. I'll text you and then honk the horn and just wave at me. And I'm like, cool.
Yeah.
Because they just wanted to make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right, yeah.
They didn't want you to cause convenience.
Yeah.
Like the Fed probation office, I will forever have gratitude towards because they actually helped us get on our feet. They were looking for opportunities, creating opportunities, not, they knew, like I didn't have a freaking license. You want me to report to North Wilmington between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m.?
Yeah.
Come on, that's all day. Now I
That's
just lost the whole day of work.
on the bus stop.
And
yeah.
you told me if I don't go to work and I'm ready to lose my job, you're going to violate me.
Yeah.
But if I don't come to the meeting, you're going to violate me. So I called the feds. And I'm like, look, man, you guys need to do something. And the feds were like, well, we know it takes all these bus rides to get up there. We're going to pick you up and take you to your state probation meeting. I'm like, this is backwards.
Wow.
Like my Fed PO for international drug trafficking, bundle launderings, picking me up from my job site. So now I only miss 2 hours of work instead of all day.
Yeah.
Pick me up, take me there, and drive me back to work. And I'm like, so I said that at a recidivism event at Dell State University, and the senator's office was there, the governor's office, probation offices. I said, look, I'm not cutting down my personal PO because they're just getting these rules and regulations pressed on them.
Yeah, they're doing what they have to do.
I said,
yeah.
look, I'm not boasting here, but I got a high school, I got 2 bachelor's degrees when I was in prison. I had a bachelor's degree before I went to prison. So I know how to articulate my message and get across to the PO why this is not working. I said, but a lot of these dudes, they don't even have high school diplomas.
Yeah.
And then they get out, they don't know how to get a job, and you expect them to make all these probation, and that's how they're violating, going back to jail for 2 years. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So a representative from Senator Coon's office approached me, and she was like, man, I really like the way you articulate that message. We need to talk. And I had already had a contract at Ferris Juvenile Detention Center coaching kids. And so she was like, I need to introduce you to this guy. And I'm like, all right, whenever you're ready. So I kept calling her because I had never been to Dover.
Yeah.
Ever in my life. I
It's
mean,
not
who
that
goes
far
to
either.
Dover?
Yeah.
I'm from Wilmington.
Yeah.
And Newark. We drive past Dover to go to the beach.
Yeah.
I've never stopped in Dover. So she was a Dover woman working for Coons. And she's like, there's this guy, I need to introduce you to him. So now I'm in the jail working with these boys that are going back to Dover. And I had heard the chatter. I was coaching CrossFit, and they were going to shoot each other when they got out. And they were getting out like within weeks. So I kept calling her. I'm like, look, I don't know anybody in Dover. These boys are going to shoot each other. And I called her 7 days later. I'm like, these boys are going to shoot each other. Like, I need help. I need help.
Yeah.
And she's like, kind of like, you need to stop calling here. And I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
call you every freaking 7 days until you told me you were going to introduce me to this guy.
Yeah.
And so this call and situation probably changed the course of my life. So this guy calls me. I'll say his name out loud. He's like, this is Justin Downing from the FBI. And I'm like, what the freak? Why is this FBI guy calling me? Like,
Yeah.
I'm thinking immediately, I'm Rolodexing my thoughts. Man, is there an old case from the mid-2000s or 90s that they're pulling up on me? Did I do something in
Yeah.
prison that
Yeah.
was going to get me caught up, like,
Yeah.
that I don't know about? And he just immediately, the next thing he said, I'm a Christian. I do CrossFit. And I just started a nonprofit called the Green Beret Project, coaching, boys without dads. And I need your help. And I'm like, head spin.
Yeah.
He's nailing, he's talking about faith. He's talking about CrossFit. And
Everything you're on right now.
I'm already doing all 3 things.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, and I'm not scared of law enforcement or scared to work with them because my pop-up was a state trooper, my
Yeah.
Uncle Frank, Uncle, Tim, cousin, they're law enforcement. So I was in and around that my whole life.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, dude, and we just talked for like 2 hours. But my head's still like, this is so too good to be true.
Yeah.
And I called Chaplain Massey from the very beginning of the story. And I'm like, Massey, this craziest thing just happened. Mind you, I met Massey in 2007. This is fast forward 2016, 2 years out of prison. And he says, I said, man, this Green Beret dude who was in 3rd group, he was in 19th group, he's an agent. So Massey starts laughing, and I'm like, what is so funny, dude? And he's like, I was a Green Beret in the 60s and 70s. And I was like, shut up.
That's wild.
Because it's like, how did I not know that?
Yeah.
It's like God withheld that information from me
Yeah.
for all those 9 years to the exact moment. Because in human whatever, this random dude calling me because the senator's office said that he should call me, and he's an agent.
Yeah.
He was a special force dude, and he's got a heart for these boys and girls growing up in bad neighborhoods just like I do.
Yep.
Fatherless, mainly fatherless children. I'm like, it was too good to be true. But when Massey was like, I was a Green Beret in the 60s and 70s with 10th group, Vietnam era, I was like, this is it. I'm like, that was my seal.
It just tied it in for you.
Right away. Boom. There was no money in the nonprofit. Justin's super generous guy. He took 6 G's out of his savings account. He started that nonprofit. Recruited a couple Dover police officers, recruited a local CrossFit gym owner, and he recruited classic Green Beret stuff, recruited the housing authority, and then he, found me through the grapevine and recruited me. And at the time, I was still working construction. I was actually a foreman at a manufacturing plant at the time. Shortly, so he was in Dover. So now I'm like getting drawn to Dover.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is weird. I don't like Dover. I want to do this in Wilmington, my hometown.
Yeah.
Then I met Ashley Biden. At the time, she was the executive director of Delaware Center for Justice. And she called me out of the blue one day, and she's like, I want you on my team. I know what you're doing at Ferris. I want you to be a juvenile reentry case manager. Here's a caseload of 10 boys. Every one of those boys lived in Dover. And I'm like, in the belly of the whale. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to go to Dover.
Yeah.
I live in the city.
Yeah.
It's an hour drive.
Plus, there's plenty up there that you can take care of.
But it's like I was too well known in the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just knew people everywhere. I grew up in and around Newcastle, Newark, Wilmington. I just knew, I got 16 cousins. Everyone's like, man, that's Adam. Man, he's a criminal. He's a drug dealer.
Yeah, they're not going to look at you the same way.
He's a drunk.
Yeah.
And of course, Justin, he knew all this about me. And so now I got this caseload of boys, and who I still know, most of them today. And now we're, the Green Beret Project, and we had no money. So we just started doing stuff, just building relationships, eating pizza and bench pressing at the CrossFit gym, taking kids from alternative school to the CrossFit gym and doing squats and giving them some protein shakes, opposing gangbangers.
Yeah.
They're just a bunch of lost, broken boys that need a sense of direction. Like the problem, it's pennies on the dollar to coach them before they go to prison.
Yeah.
Because once, currently in Delaware, it costs $207,000 a year to put one kid in juvenile detention.
Dang.
$207K. And then there's like an 85-90% recidivism rate. And then you send them, and then most of those dudes will end up in state prison somehow.
Right.
And that's another, I think it's like 85 or 90K a year. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's what we're spending on incarceration. It's insane. Wow. If we just built, like the writings on the wall, not saying every kid from the projects or the housing authority is going to go to prison, but man, it's pretty high.
The numbers are there, yeah.
The numbers are there. The proof's there, because that little boy is growing up with no dad, or he's watching older men on the block. He's watching older men use women. He's watching older men carry guns, do drugs, sell drugs, gamble, whatever. And then he thinks that's the norm. And he thinks it's normal to go around and have a bunch of babies.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I've known my guy, I'm not going to say his name, he's 12 years old. I've known him since he's 2 years old. He's that kid. He will be good at something. He's just like me.
Yeah.
He will be good at something. But man, he's a great freaking kid. They're like, oh, he has ADHD. I'm like, maybe. I said, the kid just needs to be filled with productive activities.
Yeah.
Let's put him in jiu-jitsu. He'll work out at our gym. He'll be on our wrestling team. I'll take him on camping trips. And if he acts up at school, he doesn't get to do these things. Like, let's put him, keep him accountable.
Right.
And guess what? He's been doing better. He's not been getting in fights, because I'm like, dude, if you freaking get on a fight on a bus this year, you're not going camping at the farm.
Yeah.
You're not going to West Virginia. And he's like, I really want to go. I said, well, then don't. I said, next time some dude tries you, I said, you just got to keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
good, man.
stop instigating, just like people do for their sons.
Yeah.
And same thing with the little girls. You know, they grow up, and we never intended to even help little girls, but, you know, all these boys are bringing their sisters over, and kids from the neighborhood just get curious, and they're coming over. And it's like these little girls don't even know what a good man looks like.
Yeah.
So now you got these little girls, and they're like so precious and sweet, but you need to teach them, you know, to be respected,
Yeah.
to demand respect as well. You know, so we've known some girls for the past 10 years. And then there's other kids that come and we've known for 3 years, 5 years, 6 years. And now we're to the point where, hey, 2 weeks ago, we had a kid enlist in Delaware National Guard. He goes basic training February 9th. We got a kid enlisting Thursday. I got a kid graduating from Williamson College of the Trades in May. He's currently interviewing with EDIS, Whiting, Turner, and Battaglia. This kid is from a bad neighborhood, bad situation.
Yeah. That's great, man.
The kid got a $106,000 scholarship to a trade school.
Dang.
Right? We got 2 kids in there right now.
That's awesome.
You know, we got about a dozen kids in the Delaware National Guard. Some of those kids, one kid's a first-year carpenter union. I got 2 other guys working at M. Davis and Journeyman's as electrician and welder. Right? We got a mechanics. We got 2 kids at Del Tech for mechanics. Like, we're pumping these kids because a lot of these kids are not college material. And I'm like, who freaking cares, dude?
Yeah.
Like,
Trades
it's
where
not
at.
it's trades are where it's at. They've always been there.
Yeah.
Do we have some kids in college? Absolutely. Because I'm like, you need to get a college degree because you're really good with numbers. So we got a kid at Del Tech playing basketball for accounting. We got a girl who's a freshman at UD for
Nice.
finance. You know, there's just we got a kid. He just took his placement exam to go to St. Andrews.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Right, but we've been working with him since 3rd grade. Like, hey, mom, let's put him in charter school.
Yeah.
You know, he's pretty good at sports, but he's academically he's there. He's coachable. So I'm like, dude, I think we should apply to St. Andrews. Like, we got it in. So then it's just, you know, creating opportunities. And there's no script to this. It's just building a relationship. We have 3 CrossFit gyms. We have a boxing gym, a wrestling gym, a mechanic shop, a landscaping company, so full turn to the landscaping thing in 2018. Justin's like, hey, dude, I'm going to buy a landscaping company for $7,500 and you're going to run it and you're going to be the first employee of Green Beret Project. And I'm like, you're out of your mind. I'm not doing that. Are you crazy? I'm not running a landscape. I've never even driven a zero turn before. I was a full-time CrossFit coach at Riverfront CrossFit at this time.
Yeah.
And things weren't going so great there. And then I'm like, you know what? Things aren't going great here. What do we got to lose? As long as my bills are paid this summer, my wife's cool with it right now.
Yeah.
And we had I think about 75 accounts. 30 of them or so were with Habitat for Humanity, so they were pretty easy accounts. But the other accounts were like legit.
Yeah.
Like $600,000, $700,000 homes. We got fired from 20 accounts our first year.
Just couldn't keep up.
No, I just had all these young guys on my team, the 17, 18, 16 years old.
Yeah.
One guy took a push mower. We cut the yard. I mean, I had just striped it, looking sweet, 3.75 inches, and I'm up on the back of the F-350, like, man, look at that. And this kid's actually, he wasn't one of our normal guys. He actually went to UVA, and he just made it through selection, but he still was a ding-dong at the time. And I love you, Luke, but I hope you listen to this one day. He took the push mower, and it was on 2 inches, and he had his headphones on, and he walked right across the front yard.
Ruined it.
And just had to call the Millers and be like, dude, sorry, but we just ruined your yard for the next 2 months because we cut it at it was like 1 1/4 inch. So there was just this dead grass path across their front yard.
Oh, man.
And they had a pretty big house out in West Dover. Got fired. Their neighbors fired us. We broke gates, mailboxes, siding got cut off from the weed whack.
Inexperienced kids, not knowing.
You know, but listen, that summer will go down in history. Dudes learned how to work that summer. We still have the landscaping company to this day, but we just have contracts with Habitat for Humanity and neighborhood partners. So we just cut empty lots. And that just enables us to take a kid out and put them through the grind, the hot 100-degree day.
Yeah, learning work.
You know, learning how to work side by side with men.
Yeah.
getting the day done. We partner with lots of local contractors, local realtors doing clean outs. My buddy owns an HVAC company, and he just took one of our guys on a 3-week job, you know, which is great because it gives them the experience, the grit.
Yeah.
And we're constantly doing hard things with the boys.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. You've gone a long way, dude. Long way.
It's pretty been a pretty wild ride, and we have a bunch of Green Berets that are on the board that are pretty highly involved, and so just learning, like I had a different set of Quasimodo leadership skills, if you will, from managing 50 drug dealers, running all these missions, getting from New York to Florida in the middle of the night with drugs and getting the money back and doing all these things undercover and planning and scheming. And then you met these set of guys, and a lot of them aren't far off. They're completing missions, but they're a lot more structured leadership skills, and just even being around them.
Yeah.
I've learned so much just watching them. Some are my age, some are a little bit older. Just being around them, watching them lead other men. We've been able to take, dozens of kids down to Fort Bragg on Camp McCall and do some
that's great.
Some different things down with Sear and Robin Sage type stuff, like dumbed down stuff.
Out with some SF guys and stuff.
Yeah. Hanging out with SF guys for the weekend and pairing them up and doing cachet hunts and, just doing hard things. That's
awesome, man.
Hey, you got to negotiate for some water and tents right now, and just watching them move and operate and the resilience that some of these kids have, like we can't teach that. So then you take that and you give them the opportunity to be like, hey man, we're going to study and take this test to get in the union. When you're on the job site, some of their skills are way different that are unteachable just from surviving in some of these neighborhoods every day.
Yeah.
Things they thought were normal. I'm like, look, these things actually are not normal. So you take those transferable skills to your job site, and your unorthodox way of problem solving, critical thinking is going to help advance you on these job sites.
Do you bring church and God into the nonprofit at all?
So they all know we're Christian men.
Okay.
We don't hide it, but we don't push it.
Gotcha.
Right? It's a secular nonprofit.
Yeah.
We do take kids to church on Sunday if they choose.
If they want to. Right?
We have a van that runs, one of our part-time coaches, myself, like we take turns on Sunday and we'll round them up, take them out. I pray before meals. We pray sometimes in the gym. And there's kids that are like, we want to know more. And like there's this one kid, I call him a kid, he's 22. He's like 6 foot, 250 pounds. He was, invited to the All-American Wrestling Tournament as a heavyweight. He was all-state captain of the gold team as a running back and linebacker. He just never wanted to hear about it. He was an atheist. He's like, I'm an atheist. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Cool with me.
Yeah.
And years down the road when he was 20, he had entered the Delaware National Guard, and a soldier friend of him started talking to him about the Lord. Took him to church. He was kind of embarrassed to tell me at first. He's like, hey, man, my friend's been taking me to church. I'm like, cool. And so then we have this, fully operational mechanical garage up in Newcastle.
Yeah.
We run a race car team out of there too, which is completely insane. But so he's a part of that. He rolls into the mechanic shop one night, and it's me and this other mechanic who is a believer. And he's like cheesing ear to ear. And I'm like, what is with you, dude?
Yeah.
And this kid's bad neighborhood, grew up in a pretty crazy way. And he's like, I did it. And I'm like, what did you do? And he's like, I got fucking baptized. And I'm like, this guy's great.
It's awesome.
It was like the raw faith, man, and he just blurted it out. And me and my buddy Dan are just cracking up. And I'm like, oh, this dude. But, it was just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I accept the Lord and I can never cuss again. It's like, hey, man.
Yeah.
I was like, congratulations.
That's great, man.
And watching him since then, that's been a year ago. He's a father. He's taking care of his kid. I'm like, I know your father, and I know, there wasn't the best of relations, but that's not going to be. I said, you're going to live a hard working life.
Yeah.
and you're going to provide even better life for your kid. You're a soldier. He's a CDLA driver, and he's a first-year carpenter.
That's awesome, man.
And he's just crushing life.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
So are you guys just operating in the Dover area, or have you guys spread out to like other areas of the state?
So we have 11-acre farm off in Milton,
Okay.
Gravel Hill Road.
Yep.
I'm sure people,
I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
I drove by, seen the sign before.
We currently just built a 6,000 square foot pole barn
Oh wow.
on that property. We have a pre-existing gym there. Kids are on payroll. They work the farm. We have sweet potatoes, cucumbers,
Oh wow.
cantaloupes, watermelons, chickens. So just keeping that up, it's like, hey, we have an opportunity with this certain grant where we get awarded $50,000. This will be our second year, and we can pay 16 to 18-year-olds.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's like, now, hey, man, we're going to get you your first bank account. You're going to get direct deposit, so that entails a lot of these kids don't have IDs, so we walk them through. So now we're just doing basic things, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're really showing them how to become an adult at that now. Yeah.
Just why don't you have a license yet?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. If you can't get a license, we'll get your state ID. Mate, I've had to take kids, and I don't want to say swindle, but man, I really New Yorked my way into getting kids their birth certificates, social security cards, because their parents are AWOL.
Yeah.
I've had to call politicians and be like, hey, man, this is a situation I'm up against. I can't get this kid his driver's license because his mom and dad got warrants out. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
He doesn't even live with them. And certain politicians would call DMV and be like, hey, I'm going to send this guy down there, and you're going to get him this kid's license. And so we've had to call in some favors. And that's the beauty about living in Delaware.
Yeah.
But now it's like, hey, giving this kid hope. So we've bought and sold 15 cars to kids that have been with us for a long time. So it's like, hey, now we're going to, we have a mechanic shop. So we're going to buy you this little $2,000 pickup truck, and you're going to work for us. We're going to teach you how to operate this vehicle and maintain it and pay us back. 0% finance, of course, but you're going to pay us back for this truck because now you're able to have a better job.
Yeah.
One of those kids, I bought him. He's like, I don't want a pickup truck. I'm like, too bad. I'm like, I know teenage boys, dude.
Yeah.
You need 2 seats, and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a pickup truck, and you're going to take over the landscaping company.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pay you $15 an hour anymore. I'm going to pay like $25 or $30 an hour because now it's your vehicle. You're managing it.
Yeah.
You know how to do this. You're going to be buying the gas, all the things. You're managing the equipment, and I'm going to pay you more.
Yeah.
So he did that, and it's still going on. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. You guys do a lot.
It just kind of keeps growing and growing.
Right.
We have 5 full-time employees,
Yeah.
about 5 part-time employees. We got 12 part-time teenage employees. We got kids coming back. Like tonight, we have wrestling and boxing. I got guys that went, were in Green Beret Project as teenagers, and now
They come back.
they come back and they one of the guys coaches wrestling 2
That's
nights
awesome,
a week.
man.
It's like train the trainer model. Will
Yeah.
never be enough of us, so we need to train some guys from the neighborhood. And when that 10-year-old boy sees 22-year-old from his neighborhood, man, they follow him and they love it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
There's a guy, we met him when he was 18. He's a state trooper now.
Oh man, it's awesome.
He's like 6'6", and he just rolls up in the gym the other day with his uniform on, and the kids are like, they don't know what to do. They're like, should we not like him? Should we? But it's Derek. It's Derek.
Yeah, he was here.
Like, dude, he's been around for 10 years, and now he's a state trooper.
That's so cool, man.
He was a corrections officer. He's in the National Guard. Now he's a state trooper.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
We had other guys that were corrections officers, and it's neat to see even when they come back in their soldier uniforms.
Yeah.
And the little kids see that, and they're like, man, I'm like, yeah, that could be you.
Yeah.
It's like trendy now for our guys and girls to become National Guard soldiers. And I'm like, why wouldn't you?
That's so cool, dude.
You get the tuition, you get your network, they're going to teach you a trade. You get your home loans, insurance. You could sign a short, 6-year contract. You could go on and be a 20-year soldier.
Yeah.
Like, we have this little network within.
Yeah.
It's cool to see now all the people in the beginning are like, that will never work.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, of course it's going to work.
Yeah.
You know? And so when that, at the end of the landscaping 2018, I'm like, dude, that was hard. That was a hard summer, man. That was teaching and reteaching
Yeah.
kids. The United States attorney called, and who was David Weiss
Yeah.
at the time. He's like, hey, man, I've been watching you, and I want you to come visit, come see me. I go in to see David, and he's like, I want to contract you to solve gun violence in Dover. And I'm like, huh. I said, David, you prosecuted me, put me in prison.
Yeah.
He's like, I know. Pretty crazy, huh? He's like, what do you think? And I'm like, at the time, I'm like, yeah, because there's no money coming in.
Yeah.
I was just living off the grass cutting money. So I had a contract with the United States Attorney's Office through the Department of Justice to solve gun violence. And I'm like, well, how do you want me to do that? He's like, I don't know. Here's a pad and paper. Come see me in a month. And I'm like, this guy is wild.
Yeah.
So I went, and I was already coaching boys because my idea is, well, we need to get ahead of the problem.
Yeah.
Justin had already been doing that. Same idea, get ahead of the problem, because I quickly found out coaching boys at Ferris is too late. It's like sharks already tasted blood.
Yeah.
And so you get these kids when they're super young. And David's like, well, I don't prosecute kids. And I'm like, but you will in, 3, 4, 5 years. I said, not that much is going to change for us.
Yeah.
I'll be 40 something and you'll be 50 or 60 something. I said, but that kid's going to be 13 to 18. And all those criminal skills, he's already learning them now. So if we can interject, it's pennies on the dollar to prevent it. Not saying we don't need reentry programs, not saying we don't need an intervention program, but man, we aren't spending enough money on preventative because it's pennies on the dollar for everybody. People are like, we don't care about those neighborhoods. I'm like, that's fine. You don't care about those kids? I'm okay with that. But you do care about, back to it costs $207,000 a year to incarcerate a kid.
Yeah.
You care about that the United States carries 5% of the world's population, but the United States carries 25% of the world's incarcerated. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's coming through fatherlessness. There's 18 million plus fatherless kids in this nation. When there's a kid in jail, or I want to say almost every man I met in jail, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, we all had daddy issues.
Yeah.
Divorced parents, didn't know dad, whatever. That's all it was. There's a lot of very productive men in prison that just, had to get over some things, and I was one of them.
Yeah.
And I have a great relationship with my father today.
What would be your advice to anyone out there that's in your situation back when you were in prison going through it?
Read the Bible. Your instincts are going to be telling you that's weak. I'm not going to do that. That's not going to work. It's just something, these are all the thoughts went through my head. That's just something that, is for kids' stories, or, whatever your pre-notions of it, just give it a shot. God can transform people's hearts. And I've seen it happen time and time again. Yeah. If God can connect an old drug dealer with an FBI agent to work for the United States Attorney.
Yeah.
I have to pinch myself like every day. Is this actually happening?
Yeah.
Who a board member that I talked to once a week was a DEA agent for 29 years.
Yeah.
What? That guy's like my uncle now.
Yeah. Yeah.
A guy who was a colonel in Delta Force. I call that guy when marriage issues with GBP, kids, whatever. Just call these dudes for advice. And to even be able to be connected, but then again, God seeing fit and people seeing fit for a guy like me to be able to be entrusted with these kids is even more astounding. Yeah. I just never would have thought in a million years this is where life would be. And then, being able to hold a marriage down for 11 years.
Yeah.
Nobody in my family would have ever thought I could do that.
All because of faith.
Yeah. And my wife wouldn't think. Yeah. She'd say the same thing, because I was a disaster. I was a maniac.
Yeah. Well, dude, you're doing some amazing things. Life has certainly took a turn for the best for you. I'm super happy for you, ma'am. Super happy you came on the podcast. Proud that I got the chance to meet you and hear a little bit about your story. And I know someone listening out there, even if it's just one person, is going to take something away from this, and their life's going to be better for it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate having me.
All right. Thanks, brother.